Alright, summer 2021 is officially almost over. We are approaching Labor Day, but before we say goodbye, I've got to do a recap of all the movies I saw this summer. Summer 2021 in film was kind of a roller coaster. First and foremost, unlike last summer, this summer we actually had movies. Wow. Who would have thought a year ago that we would have movies this summer, and a lot of movies. And a plethora of the films that came out over the last couple of months were movies that originally were supposed to come out in 2020, then got pushed a year later to this summer. So basically, we got a mix of 2020 movies and 2021 movies, some good, some bad, definitely a good amount that were forgettable, but at least we have some great movies from 2021 summer. So without further ado, let's go back in time, do a recap of summer 2021 in film, and I guess I can give my overall rating of how I feel this summer in movies compares to previous summers. Back on Memorial Day weekend, we had two blockbuster releases, starting with A Quiet Place Part 2, and I was super pumped for A Quiet Place Part 2. I really enjoyed the first one when I saw it in theaters, and luckily I got the chance to see this one in theaters too when it came out back on Memorial Day weekend, and there is no doubt in my mind that A Quiet Place Part 2 is one of the best movies of 2021, and I guarantee you by the end of this year it'll likely end up on my top 10 list. Cruella was another movie that came out on Memorial Day weekend, a film I was looking forward to because of Emma Stone as Cruella de Vil. Currently speaking, Cruella goes down as one of the more forgettable movies of this summer. Not that I dislike this movie, I gave it a positive rating. It's definitely one of the better movies that came out this year, but I just don't remember much about the movie. I recall enjoying the performances. I really liked the cast, the story. There were some really good scenes in the movie, but it's just not that memorable. Disney's been on this reboot and remake tangent for the last decade, and because of that, since Cruella is a film in that category, I just don't find it as memorable as some of the other films I saw this summer, but still a good movie. The first movie I saw in June was From My Couch. It's Infinite on Paramount Plus. Up to that point, Infinite was one of the worst movies I saw all year, and no surprise, that does not change. Infinite is still one of the worst movies of 2021. Mark Wahlberg plays a character he's become really used to playing, just your typical Mark Wahlberg 2010/2020s now performance, and if you told me this film was part of the Transformers franchise, I would probably believe you. In the Heights debuted a day later on HBO Max as well as in theaters on June 11th. I thought it was pretty obvious even a week before seeing the movie that In the Heights would receive good reviews just because of the people behind the making of this movie. It's based on a thing written by Lin-Manuel Miranda, the guy known for Hamilton. Still have not seen that, nor will I ever probably watch Hamilton. I guess I should, but either way, In the Heights, yeah, this was a fun movie. I enjoyed the music. I thought some scenes were really surprising. The performances across the board were great. But if you know me and you saw my review, you know that I'm simply not a fan of musicals. I know a lot of people love them, but to me, I've always felt like they've interfered with telling a film's story. Not that I don't enjoy some of the music in musicals. I mean, come on, High School Musical. But if I had to choose between having music sung by our main characters and having no music at all, I would 9 times out of 10 choose having no music at all unless the music is absolutely incredible. Hitman's Bodyguard came out smack daddy in the middle of a week back in June. Personally, and to my surprise, I really like the first Hitman's Bodyguard. This one is almost the exact same movie. There are some similar jokes, some similar beats in the plot, some similar back and forth between Samuel L. Jackson and Ryan Reynolds in the film. It's one of those comedy movies that's an easy watch. I can sit there, enjoy myself, have a lot of laughs, but it's not nearly as good as the first one just because it uses that first one as a crutch so much instead of trying to make it feel more original, just like the first one did. Luca is Pixar's 2021 movie. It premiered on Disney Plus on June 18th. It took me over a week to get around to seeing this film. There were so many movies that came out at the end of June and into July. I just didn't have the time, but when I got around finally to watching Luca, and after finishing the film, my God, this is another Pixar classic. I loved Luca. And while the story is a bit thin and slow, what really got me on board with Luca is the fact that it tugged on my heartstrings like so many other Pixar movies have. And the filmmakers did such a great job in making me care about the main relationship in the film. It's such a meaningful movie and a film that makes me reflect on my own childhood and what it means to grow up and be a kid and have friendships and believe in yourself and not be afraid of who you are. It's a really special film to me. F9, The Fast Saga, was the final movie I saw in June. It doesn't shock me that so many people hate F9 because this movie is quite ridiculous. It's over the top. It's stupid. It's the most exotic Fast and Furious movie to date, but I really enjoy watching F9. I'm somebody that didn't like a good amount of the Fast and Furious movies. If you guys saw my reviews, you know that I think this franchise is fine. I really enjoy some of the best movies, but there are other films in this franchise that I don't feel live up to what I initially expected. And in F9, I got exactly what I needed and expected. A Fast and Furious movie that I view as a guilty pleasure. I really can't say that about the other movies that came out before it because some of them are so unbearable, the early ones, that I just can't enjoy watching them. And then some of the later ones that aren't as good as some of the top tier Fast and Furious movies aren't so bad that I want to watch them again just for comedy reasons, but Fast and Furious 9 mixes all of that. It's not the worst movie I've ever seen to the point where it's unbearable to watch, but it's not trying to be as good as some of the best Fast and Furious movies, and it knows exactly what it is. It's simply there to entertain you, and that's what it did for me. On July 9th, I saw the return of the MCU to theaters in the form of Black Widow. As everyone knows, I had very high expectations for Black Widow, and after walking out of the theater on that early July day, I could not help myself but to consider this one of the worst movies of the MCU. I was highly disappointed in Black Widow. Man, was this movie bad. I'll get into it more after I see Shang-Chi. I have another MCU ranking coming up for you guys this month. But Black Widow, man, all I have to say about it in this video is that this one really underperformed not only at the box office, but also in terms of overall quality. Space Jam: A New Legacy was another attempt at LeBron James's acting career as well as for the Space Jam franchise. I remember years ago when Space Jam: A New Legacy was announced, and I kept saying to myself, when is that movie coming out? Like, I could have sworn I was maybe 15, 16 years old when this movie was announced, and then it somehow didn't get made for another 6 to 7 years. I don't see myself ever watching Space Jam 2 again. There's just no reason to revisit the movie. I don't really like the first one much compared to other people, so why would I see an even worse movie on repeat? There's just no reason to, and plus, I don't like LeBron James as a person or much as an actor. I mean, he was good in Trainwreck, but in this movie, his performance was so stale, as well as everyone else's outside of Don Cheadle. I like the animation, I like some of the references, but this movie did not have to be made. Snake Eyes came up next in my list of reviews. I kept forgetting that this movie was coming out, and then eventually it came out, and nobody saw it in theaters. Doesn't really surprise me because the marketing for this movie was god-awful. I don't think a single person before it came out really knew it was coming out. It's really sad because Henry Golding knocked it out of the park as Snake Eyes. I would even go as far as to say, give this man his own G.I. Joe franchise. Make him the main character, like the Tony Stark of this franchise. But now, after the box office bomb that was Snake Eyes, a film that was also really disappointing and could have been so much better. I highly doubt we'll see another movie, at least part of this rebooted G.I. Joe franchise. Maybe down the line we'll see another G.I. Joe movie, but I highly doubt it'll be part of the one we saw here in the form of Snake Eyes. Old was M. Night Shyamalan's newest movie, his first feature-length film since Glass. I mean, geez, man, how could a movie with such a cool concept where people grow rapidly older on some deserted beach be so bad? This film should have been great. M. Night Shyamalan is always good at making movies like this into really surprisingly great films. But nothing clicked for me in Old. Some of the acting was terrible, the writing was bad, it felt like a first draft, the execution was poor. There was nothing here that I found as substantial that makes me want to go back and watch it again. It's just a pure misfire, especially for such a cool concept. And the next movie I saw was Disney's Jungle Cruise. Jungle Cruise serves as pure entertainment. It's very fast-paced, adventurous. It reminds me an awful lot of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. I love the chemistry and banter between Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt. If you're looking to have a good time, turn your brain off for 2 hours, and hoping to forget about everything that stresses you out in real life, well, look no further than to go see Jungle Cruise. The Green Knight was A24's newest film, starring the one and only Dev Patel, who is great, as well as everyone else in this cast. It's a loaded cast. The Green Knight is one of the most beautiful movies of 2021. If you like period pieces and in-depth movies, this is the movie for you. And while The Green Knight is growing on me ever since I saw it in theaters, this is still a film that is just a little bit too slow for me. It kind of dragged, and there were times where I looked at my phone to see what time it was. Yeah, I mean, I doubt this will ever be the movie for me, but I guarantee you there are so many people out there that absolutely love this movie. It'll no doubt be a cult classic soon enough. Stillwater was a Matt Damon movie, also starring Abigail Breslin, coming from the director of Spotlight. This is like one of the only movies I can take seriously in this 2021 summer recap and film. It's a movie that hits you hard the first time you see it, and for some reason, I just have not been able to get it out of my mind ever since I caught it in theaters at the beginning of August. I wish more people saw Stillwater. There's just too much that happens in the movie to where I feel like I can't talk too in depth about it in this video, which is supposed to be shorter, quick reviews of each and every single movie I saw this summer. But if you are curious about my in-depth thoughts on Stillwater, a great movie, go check out my review. The Suicide Squad was the first movie I saw in the month of August, which is a rough sequel slash reboot of the Suicide Squad movie from 2016. I had such a fun time with the Suicide Squad in theaters. I am pleased to say I watched it in theaters over watching it at home on HBO Max. James Gunn is one of the most talented filmmakers in the industry right now. If your franchise is failing, just hire James Gunn. The man can pretty much fix anything. He could fix the worst franchises. I'm sure if Michael Bay went up to James Gunn and asked him to fix that franchise back in 2011, I guarantee you he would have fixed it. But from beginning to end, The Suicide Squad was one of the most enjoyable movies of the entire summer. I love the cast. I love the characters. John Cena and Idris Elba were two show stealers for me. Everyone in this movie was such a good time to see on the screen. It's hilarious. There's a lot of brutal action. I can't wait to see what James Gunn and company do next for this franchise. Free Guy was Ryan Reynolds' second movie of the summer and now a Disney-owned product. And another film that's pure entertainment. I really hope we get the chance to see a sequel to this film because Ryan Reynolds does the best variation of any of his characters that we've seen before in Free Guy. This is absolutely one of my favorite Reynolds characters to date. The movie is hilarious. It's got an excellent concept, a great cast, and is non-stop fun. I cannot believe that more people did not go out to the theaters to watch this one because it's one of the best movies that came out this summer. Finally, this Hugh Jackman movie was the last movie I saw this summer. The movie is called Reminiscence. I saw it on HBO Max because why the heck would I go all the way out to my theater to watch a movie that I can't even really talk about it, to be honest. I don't know if I'm tired from being up so late or if I'm tired from watching Reminiscence. And well, I saw that movie over a week ago. So if that's the case, I don't recommend any of you guys watch Reminiscence because it's not worth your time, especially if you want to avoid being tired. Alright, there you guys have it. That is my recap of the movies I saw in the summer of 2021. If I had to give this summer a grade for the movies I saw, I guess it'd be somewhere in the B range. It's not nearly as good as some previous summers, but still, for a year that was hit hard like 2020 by the pandemic, it still held its own and had a plethora of really good movies, so I can't complain. I'm just happy to be back in the theater. What did you guys think about this summer in film, though? Do you think it lived up to expectations, or do you find it really disappointing compared to the summers we've gotten before? Comment your thoughts down below, and as always, guys, if you are new to my channel, click the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I hope you all have a fantastic day.